Welcome to Lead Different, the podcast that redefines leadership and challenges the status quo. Hosted by Daniel Dominguez, founder and CEO of Why Not Leadership. This show is your compass to becoming a better leader through the power of self-awareness. Good leaders foster teams that are engaged, empowered, and energized. Join us on this transformative journey as we equip you with the tools and insights to lead different. Get ready to challenge the ordinary and embrace self-aware leadership. This is Lead Different.
Subscribe now. Discover a new era of leadership. Lead different, because great leaders change the world.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Lead Different podcast. We are so excited today to bring you our guest, 𝗕𝗿𝘃𝗃𝗃. Let me tell you a little bit about Joe. Joe is a brand catalyst, a brand maximizer, a brand amplifier. She is just a hero at what she does, and I'm going to have to put on my glasses to tell you a little bit more about her. She specializes in creating powerful visuals that drive engagement and foster client connection. She helps businesses and entrepreneurs translate their brand vision into compelling visual narratives that inspire action and build trust. She has experience spanning from startups to established brands. She combines creativity, strategy, and a personal touch in every project that she does. Her tailored approach ensures that every single image aligns with her clients' brand identity and resonates with their audience. She's passionate about supporting female entrepreneurs and also to helping them elevate their brand with authentic, strategic visuals that build trust, attract their ideal clients, and create lasting impact. So I've been a personal beneficiary of all these superpowers that Joe has. So I'm going to bring her on stage and introduce her and welcome her to the Lead Different podcast. Welcome, Joe.
Oh, thank you so much, Dan. I really appreciate the opportunity.
This has been a long time coming. You know, we met almost, I want to say more than a year ago, or no, almost a year ago in the fall of last year at a global conference where you were a speaker and I was a speaker. And you were so impressive, Joe, that I tell people all the time, I hired Joe on the spot. I needed some fresh pictures, and she didn't even have her camera. She's so good. She didn't have her professional camera, but she took some great images that my team immediately used on my social media and on our website. And so you come highly recommended by me and by a lot of the people that you worked with, Joe. So tell us about what's exciting for you right now at Branding by Joe.
Oh, goodness. There's so much going on right now. I think the most exciting piece is just getting some of the feedback from some of my clients like you. And it's just pouring in, and I'm absolutely loving it. And just hearing how much of an impact I'm able to make. And I think we really fully dove into becoming more than just a brand photography, videography option. In the past year, we've added on websites and social media management and email management, and really just helping people not only capture the visuals, but also with the implementation piece. And that's just taken the entire game to a whole new level. I absolutely love it.
So what is it, I'm, as you are on the Lead Different podcast. So one of the things I like to talk about is people's why operating system before we introduce you, because a lot of the people that are watching are fellow why coaches, so they're familiar with the YOS. And so Joe comes to us with a unique YOS, and her YOS is contribute, simplify, and make sense. Those are her top three. So she is all about solving your problem, all about simplifying the complex, and all about making a difference for her clients. And I can tell you, it shows up in everything that she does. We had the opportunity not only to meet in person at the Global Warrior Conference last year, Joe, but she actually flew to Albuquerque and worked with me and a couple of other clients. And so I had an opportunity to have dinner with Joe and introduce her to my family. And that personal people connection was so good to have, because I think it added to our photo shoot. Joe, what about your YOS really resonates? The contribute, the simplify, or the make sense?
I think, honestly, for me, all three. But the contribute piece really kind of was an aha, because it's something that I've kind of felt, and I didn't really know how to put words to it. And so after I did the YOS and we went through it, I was like, oh, all of that makes so much sense. This is why I'm driven to do what I do and how I do it. And I often say I become my client's biggest cheerleader. I am known as a connector. And honestly, it just all comes down to that contribute piece. Like my true core desire is to be able to contribute to someone else's success and to be part of their journey. And so I think after the YOS, I was like, oh, that I now understand and can put words to why I do what I do. And the simplify and the make sense also apply. Because, with us, we talked about your website and I'm like, this is all fantastic information. We just have to pull it back a little bit. It's way too much information, where the makes sense. And it's that explaining, like, I want to explain just enough that you can understand the motivation behind something, but then you don't need to know the all, so that you can focus on your zone of genius. And then we can do what we need to do together. So, yeah.
Yeah. I saw it in you, and it's so amazing because I'm not a simplify. And so I know when I meet, and for those of you that are not, that are not veterans of listening to the show, simplify is one of the rarest whys. So it's rare that people have it. Very few people have it. And when you do, what I have, and I told this to Joe, and I tell this to everyone, when you find somebody with the why of simplify, they're going to make your life easier, because they take stuff that you've overcomplicated and they make it simple and easy, not just for you to understand, but for your clients to understand. I came to Joe with a very simple problem. My problem was, my website is way too busy. It has way too much detail. We need to simplify it. It doesn't attract anyone. So I'll let you speak on that, Joe, because this was part of your keynote that really drew me to you. You talked about how much time people spend on a website before they click away. So how much time, how critical it is for us to have captivating images, captivating text, and captivating messages that bring people in, because that's something I think you really helped us with. So I'd love for you to talk a little bit more about that.
Oh, thank you. Absolutely. So I think the biggest thing is that in today's society, we are so quick to make decisions and everything is very fast paced. We have less than milliseconds to make a first impression. And it's that whole adage that a picture says 1,000 words. So for me, the visuals are so important to be able to make a connection with somebody the second they land on their website. You want to get them to stay, to then read what you have to say in the words. And so if it's all words and it's all text, if they're going to you because they really want to know more, they will possibly read and they may stay, but it's really hard and can sometimes be overwhelming. And so ultimately the goal with the experience is that you want people to immediately land on something and know that they're working with you. And that's why I'm a huge proponent of having photos of yourself on your website and then leading them through the experience with just enough information that you want them to pick up the phone to get the rest. So you want them to understand what you're about. You want them to get a clear, and we talked about this, like, you're very clear on what your why is. You're very clear on what you serve and who you want to serve. So you want them to make sure that they land and they go, yep, that's me. This is exactly what I'm looking for. Now I have enough information to know that this is my solution, and they want to get on the phone and talk to you about whatever else you have to offer. And then I think with my team, it was the personal brand side of it, right? Like, it was, we like to just focus on what we do. And this was me too. I was in business for about 10 to 12 years before I finally decided to have my own professional picture done, because I always believed people just wanted to see what I could do. They didn't need to know me. And I missed the mark. We like to do business with those that we know, like, and trust. Well, we can't build know, like, and trust through our product. Like, they have to know who we are. And the fastest, easiest way to do that is through pictures and through letting them see who you are and get a sense of who you are in a photo, which is hard to do in a headshot. It's really hard to show emotion and character and personality in just a headshot. So that's where the branding lifestyle photos really come in.
Well, and you brought this, I've never been accused of being shy. I'm not afraid of a stage. I love being center of attention. That's just my personality. But even with that, I still didn't want, I felt weird featuring me on a website. But you did such a great job of explaining it just now, Joe. People want to see who you are, right? So when you want people to go to your website and see your face, see your picture, and understand who you are just by the way you brought that out in the pictures that you took of us, not just myself, but also of my team and with my family, because people are comfortable with that person, right? They get to see you in your natural habitat, as I like to say, before they ever pick up the phone and call you. Joe's got a great smile, and she's just as genuine and nice in person as she is in her picture. So And I think one of the things that you did, and I still remember you said that, laugh a little. You would make me laugh because you said that's a much better smile than that fake smile that we all put on for pictures. When you made me laugh, it was just so natural, and we were able to capture some of that. What is one way? Because I know this is a problem for a lot of us, Joe. How do you make people comfortable being the face of their business? Because in the world that I work in as a consultant and as an executive coach, at the end of the day, you're hiring Dan. So
Yeah.
this is the you've got to be comfortable showing your face. They're going to see your face eventually, right? When you get up on a stage to give a keynote, people are buying you, and the pictures are who you are. So, what are some of the ways that you help people become more comfortable with their person so that they can portray who they are genuinely on their website and in their brand?
I think a lot of it just comes down to the planning on the front end because it's not what we a lot of times we have bad experiences with photos, and a lot of people say, I'm horrible at taking a picture. You're not horrible at taking a picture. You just may be not great at knowing how to pose or how to get good lighting. Or if all of your experience was the yearbook photos we got in school where somebody just told you to stand on an X and then there's a flash and then you go and you're like, cool, that sucked. That's what we have a lot to hold on to. And so for me, it's asking a lot about the why, which is why we align so much in the YOS, because that's exactly what I want to know about somebody. I want to know, why did you start business? What motivates you? What are you trying to do? And who are you trying to serve? And when I start pulling that out of people, I think it resonates with why they got into business. And I kind of spin it. It is not about making it all about you. It is not about making you the glorified whatever. You are just the solution that somebody is waiting to know that you exist. And so my goal is to help you find that confidence so that we can show people you're here. And then with the process, can help take out some of the fear and some of the nerves, because I try to guide you with what to expect. There's a lot of planning that goes into place, and confidence in the outfits, and am I in the right location? And does this even make sense for my story that I'm trying to tell? And then once we get on set, I like to say that my superpower is bringing out the essence in people. I think that's twofold. One, it's because I know what it's like to be uncomfortable on that side of the camera. Because I haven't always been comfortable in front of the camera. I love to live behind the camera. But then it's asking questions, and it's like getting to know what actually works. Like with you, Dan, when I would get you to smile, you had a really nice camera smile. But then when you laughed, your eyes lit up different. And I was like, oh, there you are. Like, that's the Dan that people are going to get to know and see when they're in person. And so that's why I like to find those little tidbits to figure out how we can truly capture who you are in a moment, and then give them an opportunity to see who you truly are. So those are some of the pieces. It's trying to help kind of shift your mindset on it, because you're doing it so that you can be a service to somebody. And the only way that you can do that is if you get your face out there. And photography is an example. There are so many photographers, but I get clients because they want to work with me. And that's what I'm looking for. So as a coach, you want to make sure that you're encouraging them to get coaching on leadership or purpose or being able to find your team stuff. But you want to make sure also that why you encourage that you are the solution, not just go find a great coach out there for leadership. Like, no, you need to find this. And you found me. This is just how I can help you do this.
Yeah, so much of it is, and I think you did a great job of this, Joe. And I am sure you're at the point, and we all get to this point where, hey, we choose who we want to work with, right? I don't just because you need coaching, just because you need you need to work on your team building, doesn't mean I want to work with you and your team, because we go through kind of an interview process, and I felt that with you. I almost, and I think that's a great feeling to have, where people are trying to qualify to work with you versus the other way around, where you're trying to get people to work with you. I felt that. I was like, I want Joe to want to work with me and my team. I want her to fly to Albuquerque and take pictures of us, because I saw the quality of the work that you did. And so there's a certain fit that happens when you really know who you are. And I think you brought that out in us, in myself and Nikki and Brenda and Sunil. Unfortunately, couldn't be there, but I think your gift, your superpower is to really bring out the authentic person. And I felt that. And for those of you who haven't, please go to www.whynotleadership.com. Visit our website. Tell us what you think. See Joe's work firsthand. If you're in my network and we're going to be talking, I'll be glad to show you the before and afters. As a matter of fact, I asked Joe before we started this interview, I'd love to see a carousel of just some of my before homepage and my now homepage, my before about page and my after about page. It is a complete transformation, and I couldn't be happier with the results that we got. And that's why, we had this interview scheduled ahead of time, but if you hadn't been scheduled, I would have begged you and prodded and made you get on this show, because I think people need to know about Branding by Joe and what a tremendous job you do with bringing, like I said, messaging, visual imaging. We called you our brand catalyst, our brand amplifier. There's so much more to what you do than just pictures. Let's talk about that, Joe. Who is your ideal client? Who do you absolutely love working with?
I absolutely love working with, and I will say females. I love working with my guys too, Dan. You are an absolute pleasure. But driven by female entrepreneurs and anybody in the service space. So coaches, consultants, people who really are the face of their brand. Even if they have a team, all of that stuff is fantastic. But it's this service-based industry where we can really pull out the why and really defining you as who you are, what makes you different. Because at the end of the day, a coach is a coach is a coach. You can find a coach in a certain niche, but we want to show people why you are the answer to what they're looking for. And that falls in line, Dan, completely to what you were talking about a second ago, as far as being able to choose. If you can be very specific in your branding and you can be very specific in your message and clear on who you're after, you'll actually attract the right people. And so then you find yourself in a space where you don't have to say no, because the people that are coming already know that they want to work with you. And they're usually a good fit anyway. Because if they're not a good fit, when you're putting out your messaging and you're putting out who you are, if you don't align, they're not going to be attracted. They're most likely not going to want to work with you. You may get a couple that are referrals because somebody loved you that was a great fit. And that's when you can really start to decide how you define your process, what you're going to work with. But for me, I find that working with the wrong clients make it difficult all the way around. I'm not as energized. We're just not a good fit. They take so much more work and energy versus my clients that we do align on everything. You get excited and it makes you be able to provide that much better of a service when you just fully align on everything. So like with me and you with your messaging, I'm like, this is phenomenal. Like I know at some point you're like, oh, I have too much information. I'm like, oh my goodness, but you are so clear. And it is so easy for me to take what you have and kind of dial it back. And then working with the people that don't know, that's also fun too. But when you align and your purpose is really discovering your why and what drives you and what makes you different, that aligns so much with what I do and I'm asking of people. So honestly, we've talked about how I want to have people kind of go through your process when they're working with me anyway, because you can really help identify with words, right? Like a lot of us have an understanding of, we think we have our why or why we do what we do. And a lot of people in this service-based industry start with like my family, or I'm driven by a purpose or an ultimate outcome, but really being able to answer these questions and find out that like, it's contribute. That is my why. And then knowing that there's also clear words to a how and a what. I'm like, oh my goodness, that makes life so much easier. And then being able to use that to pull it into content, to align and call out my ideal clients. It's a beautiful process. I love it.
Well, and we're going to do this with your husband. We're going to do this with Branding by Joe. So I can't wait, because here's the thing. I think you bring up a great point. I heard it. I did a workshop. I normally don't work Saturdays. Saturdays are my golf days and Sundays are my family days. But this client owns a cleaning company. So all week long, they clean people's homes. So all week long, they're full of appointments. So they could not do our workshop until Saturday. So we did it this Saturday. And one of the things that we talked about during that workshop, everybody that was going through the process says, I kind of knew this about myself, but now I have the words to say it. And the manager, the leader of the team, his second in command, the owner's second in command, said, what's even better is I have words to describe everybody else on the team. So I knew this about Joe, but now I have words that help me understand, oh, that's why Joe is always asking, how can we do more for the clients? How can we have a positive impact on our clients? And they brought up something, they talk about, you would think, right? It's a service industry. They clean people's homes. It's pretty darn basic and simple. but to a person, they talked about the difference they make in their clients' lives. And they
Mhm.
talked about helping them solve the problem because they see the difference that it makes when you have a professional come in and clean your home. And you're a lot of people that are going to be, so if you're in that space where you don't have time to clean your own home, you're probably pretty busy professionally. And you're
Mhm.
obviously making enough money to be able to hire somebody to come and clean your home. But the last thing you want after a long day meeting with clients, solving people's problems, whether you're an attorney, a doctor, is come home to a cluttered space. And they
Yeah.
talk about what a difference it makes when they come home and their house is clean and neat and they don't have to do anything except spend that precious time that they have with their family, making
Right.
a meal together and having dinner together, helping with homework, watching a show, reading a book. Those are the things that create memories. Not, and I guess you can create memories cleaning, but that's not as fun, right? You get to spend that quality time doing something simple and reminded me of the story. We talked about it. I don't know if you've heard this story, Joe. You're in Florida, so this is NASA touring NASA. President Kennedy was touring once, and he ran into a janitor in the hallway, and he asked him, "So what do you do here?" And the janitor said, "Well, sir, I'm here to help put a man on the moon." Right? You're not just cleaning. You're not just
Right.
sweeping. When you connect to the mission, right? Because when you think about it, if you're an astronaut, you've spent your whole life getting ready to become an astronaut. You made it into NASA, and now you're walking down that hallway, that lonely hallway before you get into the rocket that takes you into space. And if it's ugly and smudgy and dirty, how does that make you feel about that very important mission that you're about to
Right.
take on, right? If it's sparkling hallway that you help create, so you're not just a janitor, you're not just a sweeper, you're helping put a man on the moon and giving that guy that or gal that's walking down the hall for that very important mission that feeling that somebody cares enough to make sure that it looks perfect for you before you get on that rocket. I thought it was that we had a chance to discuss that, especially with a company that does what they do. And that goes to what you talked about, having a purpose, understanding what your purpose is, understanding your mission, and then living into it fully, which you do so well. I was so impressed, Joe, and we talked a little bit about it in the pre-show with the work that you did, but you don't do it all by yourself either, right? You've got a team. And we talked about that. So how do and I don't think this is part of what you do, but I think you do it subconsciously. How do you help leaders make sure they're doing what they do best and not anything more than that so they can really live into their purpose? So talk a little bit about how you helping them figure out their brand and do all of these magical things behind the photographs and the branding so that leaders can do their absolute best work.
Well, it allows the brand to start working for them, and it allows them to focus on their zone of genius. So if you're not having to worry about what we touched on, if you would have had to be in the weeds of making your website come to life, you can't focus on what you do best, which is being able to talk to a client, coach clients, do all those pieces. And so for me, I love to come in and partner with people so that I can help bring out their essence. We batch create the content, and then we get it out and into the world so that people can see it, so that they have to spend less time networking, boots on the ground, really trying to bring in the sales. Because if your branding is there, it starts to work for you while you're not in the room. And then if someone comes to your website and they get a clear understanding, the hurdle once you get on a sales call is smaller. The amount of people, the pipeline filling in, all that stuff really starts to kind of streamline. And then you can maximize your other efforts so that you can really focus on your zone of genius. And if you apply that, like, I think for me, the janitor piece, that is phenomenal, because whether it's a feeling or it's one less thing that the people that are in NASA that are being able to do what they need to do have to worry about. Like, if the guys that are also trying to make sure that the rocket doesn't fall apart when it goes into space is also having to make sure that they don't trip on something when they're walking down the hallway, that's less time for them to focus on something else. So I think it's just really helping people lean into who they are, what their purpose is, how we can create visuals that match and get that message out, and then just align so that they can do more of what they were born to do. And we just help get the word out there so that people can find them easier.
Yeah, talk to us a little bit more, Joe, about the power of personal brand, because you talked about it here with the NASA story, but one of the things that you are very good at is helping people overcome limiting beliefs. And I can see where, especially with your key clients, you work with men and women, but we see this more in that space. Guys, unfortunately or fortunately, we're built with this overconfidence, right? You see us do things that, why are you even trying to do that? Because we just don't set limits. I think it's more common, and it's common in both, but women are more likely to say, I don't know if I can do that. So how does having your brand, understanding yourself, and simplifying this process help business owners, whether male or female, overcome those limiting beliefs?
I think a process of it with the overcoming the limiting beliefs is really just kind of dialing back into why we're doing it as a reminder. So when we start with the foundation of why did you do your business? Why are you trying to serve who you want to serve? What is your purpose? You start to make it about your clients. And then with me, with the brand visuals piece, I think one of the biggest hesitations, and I'll use myself as an example, that I had was I didn't want to start putting pictures of myself out there because I didn't have any that I was confident to share. And there's this level of professionalism that I want to portray, and a selfie just doesn't cut it. And so it's one of those things where there's also, once you overcome the, yes, I want to get my message out there. Yes, I get it. I need to get my face out there, but I don't have anything I want to put out there. Well, then coming through the process of a brand photo session and then getting those visuals that you're confident to share, it takes you from being hesitant, like, okay, here's my website, but it's super outdated, or I haven't had this photo taken, it's been 5 years. Like, just anytime you go to present something and you've got a but or like a hesitation, it's hard to have confidence to actually show it, versus my clients, once we've worked together and they have the images and they have the visuals that they're like, yes, like, hey, check out my website, check out my new headshot. You get invited to speak. You're not like, oh my gosh, which photo am I going to share that they can put in their stuff? It's like, nope, I'm going to my library of brand photos, and here's my favorite one. You get this one. And if you've got marketing materials or social media stuff that you're creating, when you have a library of content that you can confidently use because it's on brand, it fully captures who you are. It's painting a picture. You don't think twice about using it. You're like, yes, I'm ready. Here we go. And it just gives you a whole new level of confidence to start showing up once we can work through the whys, and then give you the tools that you're like, yep, this is me. And I'm not embarrassed to share this photo or this website or this brochure or whatever the case may be. It's just having all of that together. It just really helps with the package. And I think for me, one of the biggest compliments I get is the feeling that my clients get even after a photo session is done. And they may or may not have seen any of the photos, because depending on the clients, sometimes they want to see while I'm taking pictures, sometimes they don't. But almost all of my clients walk out saying, Jo, that was the most amazing experience. You helped me rediscover my confidence. You relit a spark. You helped me really clearly understand and remember why I'm doing this. The rest of it is just gravy for me. But if I can help clients really kind of reconnect with who they are and why they're doing what they do, and then give them the visuals to go with it, all of it just kind of, it's magic. I think that's the magic of it all.
No, I think calling it magic is absolutely right, Jo, because it really does. When you talk about giving confidence, and I think this is part of your keynote, and Juliet Wright, someone we both know, who
Yeah.
also works in this space, talks about it. If you're hesitating to give out your website's not right. If you're
Yeah.
having to make it, if you're saying, hey, check out my website, but don't look at the pictures, I haven't updated it. You know what? That's holding you back, because you're not confidently saying, hey, go to my website, check this out, see what you think. And your messaging is there, and you're confident in the visuals, the way it's laid out, and that it's properly going to represent you. There's a different level of confidence that you have when you're not hesitating about any single part of it. We don't hesitate when we introduce ourselves, right? When we're in front of an audience. So why should you have that same hesitation about your website? I think it's absolutely imperative that you have a website that you're proud of, that your social media pictures, as you talked about, my team has been having a great time building posts and using the pictures, because we did some personal pictures, we did some team pictures, we did some solos, we did some here in my office, we did some at my home. Just having, like you said, a library of places you can go to rather than saying, oh, let me look through my phone photos and see if I have one that kind of sort of fits what you're looking for. No, we have like a 150 photos we can pick from that we
Yeah.
can choose from to send for somebody who needs. Maybe they want me in a professional setting in my office. Maybe they want me sitting in front of the conference room next door, in front of the screen. What is going to fit best for the social media post that we're creating, or for the client that we're talking to? And it's a quiet confidence, which is also what I love, Joe. Whether or not they need it, I know I have it, right? It's
Right.
always better to have and not need than to need and not have. And there's that quiet confidence that comes with that. I think that's a transformation that you helped us achieve here at Why Not Leadership, and for the Lead Different podcast, which we're also revamping using all those amazing images that you helped us find.
I think it's what you said. It's that quiet confidence where you don't realize that it's happening until sometimes after. And some people don't know, like they'll come and they say, I think I need brand photos, or I think my favorite is, I think I need a new headshot. I'm like, okay, fantastic.
Right.
Let's talk about what your plan is. What's your purpose for this headshot? What are you going to be doing with it? And a lot of times I hear, well, I need to update my profile pictures. I need to update my business card. Like, fantastic. And I'm going to be posting on social media. Okay, well, so tell me about your plan for social media, or if you're updating your website. And that's where I'm like, brand photos are beyond the headshot, but it's so you can tell so much more stories. And we're intentional with, I asked you a lot of questions about, tell me about yourself. What are we going to capture? And just from hearing it, I was like, okay, we definitely have to capture at your house, because how can we not share the story about your farm? And then we want to talk about you being a vet. Let's capture the flag in the photos. Like, how can we tell that story without putting you in a uniform, right? Like, there's so many ways that we can get creative, but it's that quiet confidence that I absolutely, or just seeing a shift in somebody. For me, for years, I would say, hi, I'm Jocelyn. I'm a mom. I'm a wife. I do all this stuff. And I kind of do this photography thing on the side. Well, once I started taking professional photos and I actually started getting myself out there as an expert, and this is what I do, I introduced myself different. Now I can confidently get on stage and say, I can share my piece and share my story, and I want to pour into people, but I'm not embarrassed when they pull up a photo of me saying I'm going to be a guest speaker, because I'm confident in the photos that I have out there. And so I think those are the pieces that you can't really put value to it. Like, I think that's where it's hard to put a number to the feeling that I give people, but that's where, like, that's, again, I go back to the magic. Like, I'm like, it is the magic of branding and what it allows you to do, and the confidence and the excitement it creates. And you can use the photos in so many different ways, in marketing materials and your pamphlets. You can put it on an email if you're doing email newsletters, and it really just changes the game. And between you telling me like how much easier it was for you to land like another amazing client, or I had another client tell me, she goes, I landed a client because he goes, it was amazing that when you got on the Zoom, you matched the photos on your website. He's like, I don't really see that. So it's just, you never know how it's going to come or what form. But yeah, I think it's the magic of understanding your why, and then getting tools in place that really help you share it. Because you being the best kept secret isn't going to help you or your client. You have to get out there and let people know you exist. So having tools that allow you to do that, and know this isn't just a bad picture, or like it's a good enough picture. Because how many of us have been there? This, like you said, scrolling through the phones to find the one that's good enough, like, okay, fine, versus
that might work.
versus going through and being like, oh, let me find the best one, not the good enough one. Like, I've got great ones. What's the best one for this situation? So I think it's hard to put a value to that. But if once you experience it, then you understand, and you can't get enough.
Absolutely. Here, let me ask. I've got a couple more questions I want to make sure I ask. Joe, where do you think your why comes from? So you love helping people. You love helping people by helping them simplify things and make it easier for them to navigate this world of branding. And you love helping people make sense of things. Do you remember where your drive to help others comes from? Was it, I always like to say, do you remember a time when you said, you know what, I just love helping people. I'm going to do everything I can. I'm going to do it by simplifying and helping them make sense of things. But do you remember maybe the first time that you said to yourself, that's my driver?
Oh, goodness, that's a hard one. I don't know if I can clearly remember the first time. I just feel like I can look back and always being the person that wanted to help. I don't sit back and
Mhm.
watch, like whether it was at a party, if I noticed someone picking up and cleaning up, I would get up and kind of start helping pick up and clean up. Or if I hear someone saying something, oh, I really need XYZ, giving advice like, oh, I have someone that can help you with that. Or like, oh, just sharing. Like that's just always been my thing. I think we talked about a book. Like I read a book that was game changing for me and I told everyone about it. I just read another one. I'm like, oh my gosh, this book, 𝗫 is phenomenal. You absolutely have to read it if you're an entrepreneur looking to take things to the next level. And so I don't know if there was a clear defining moment other than I look back and I'm like, goodness, that is engraved in everything that I've done. Like just everything that drives me. I've always been a giver, and putting others first, I think, has just been the nature of who I've been since as long as I can remember.
So that being said, how have you learned? And I know you're good at it, Joe. Not all of us are good. I think it's an acquired skill, and we learn it later in life, especially because you and I both share the why of contribute. How do you keep yourself from overgiving and being spread too thin and saying no to the wrong opportunities? Because at the end of the day, when we're driven to help others, sometimes we're willing to help people who even they don't even want to help themselves. They're not ready to help themselves,
So
or
true.
they're not the exact right client for us. But they need help, so you take them on anyway at your own expense. So, how have you been able to overcome the dark side of that beautiful why of wanting to help others by being able to say no to the right clients or to the wrong clients, so you can say yes to the right clients and go where you can make the most difference? What are some tips you would have for somebody who's struggling with that? Because I did it for a long time, where I said yes to everything, and next thing I know, I'm working 80 hours a week helping a bunch of people who aren't even paying me full price, aren't even paying my premium, and I'm not even available to those great clients like the ones we just signed recently, who are willing to pay full price, who see the value in what we do, because I was too busy chasing squirrels and chasing everybody that needed help. How have you been able to learn how to say no to the wrong clients so you can say yes to the right ones?
Goodness, that is a work in progress and a constant attempt. But I think for me, it has been having my core values and really running it through. So one, I'm driven by faith. And I think my faith over fear has been a huge piece of me being able to pursue my entrepreneurship. But then I run it through some questions. And my priority for this phase of my life is my family and being present for my children. And so when I start looking at opportunities and saying, yes, I really evaluate, is this aligning with the lifestyle that I want to create? Is this aligning with my priorities? And if it's going to take me away. And so the first thing I had to do was set some boundaries as far as when I was available to work and when I'm available to go see clients. And that was the biggest shift that allows me to kind of stay in line. And then really just really leaning into not every client is the right client and accepting that every no is making, or I guess, what was I saying? Every wrong no makes room for the right yes. And so just really trying to be like, okay, this is what I can offer. This is who I can serve. And starting to listen to the gut. Like if you're starting to make exceptions, you need to stop because that's what's leading down to the road of this is not the right client. They don't align. If you're starting to try to morph all the packages and we all do the custom, it's fine. But if you're getting too custom and you're getting too crazy, then it gets a little wonky and you're going to end up in the weeds. And so I think establishing what those core values are, running it through that gamut first, and then really leaning into you are clear on who you want to serve, you are clear on how you can serve them. And then if the client doesn't fit, stop trying to make it fit. Just accepting the fact that you're just not the right solution for them, they're not the right client for you, and really lean into the wrong no's, make room for the right yes. I think those are the pieces that help. Don't always win, don't get me wrong. There's definitely some days I still go, whoops, I said yes to the wrong thing, but overall that has really made a huge difference and huge impact in my life and being able to try to balance, work and family and still having a little bit of time somewhere in there to be a person outside of a brand amplifier and a mom and a wife, all the things that you get to be.
Oh, absolutely. And that was so beautifully said. I think all of us can benefit from knowing what the big rocks are, right? We've all heard the story of putting the big rocks in the jar first, because the little rocks, if you put them in first, guess what? There's not going to be room for the big rocks. And I think we all have room in life for 3 big rocks. And let's put those in first and schedule everything around that. And when you do, I was just listening. I'm weird, I guess, because I listened to my own podcast. My first interview I had with Rosie Ward, and she talked about the importance. She keeps it on her. She puts a sticky note on her computer every day to make sure she says no to the wrong things, because every time you say no to a wrong thing, you're taking time away from your potential yeses. So you expressed it just as well, probably more simply than Rosie did, because she's a challenger like me. So we tend to complicate things, but I love the way you said that. Before we go, Joe, let's share one more thing that I like to ask everyone. Tell us about your biggest why not moment, the time in your life when you said yes to something, you said why not and went for it. And you're so glad you did, because it's turned out really well for you. You're so glad you said why not and took that leap. We're all about leading different. We're all about saying why not here at the Lead Different podcast. Tell us about when that was for you.
How just last year, in the sense of the why not and adding on to becoming a full agency. I think it's scary and trying to find the pieces, and that means building a team and working through some more strategic processes and standard operating procedures and all those pieces, but really being able to lean into serving my clients better, because I kept hearing how they didn't know what to do or they didn't have the time. And so pictures and videos and brand visuals living on your computer are not going to help. Just because you got them done, you're not done. You've got to update and you got to get it out there. And so really leaning into serving my clients a little more fully and being able to not only capture the brand visuals and help them understand their why, but also helping them get it out into the world and get into existence was my biggest why not. Still working through some of those pieces, but that has been the most exciting. And I think my biggest why not yet, aside from, finally deciding to jump out of corporate, but I think this one wins. I think the agency piece definitely takes the cake right now.
I will tell you, you have built a great agency. You've built a great brand. You've helped us build a great brand at Why Not Leadership. And we're so glad to be associated with you, Joe. I know that we're going to be collaborating on much more than just working with your husband in his venture, working with you and your clients. I know this is a long-term relationship. That's why I'm so glad that we're sharing you with Why Not Nation and with all our Why Not champions around the world. Guys, if we're going to put Joe's contact information in the show notes, she's at Branding by Joe. You can find her on LinkedIn. She's on Instagram. She's on all the major platforms. She's a great communicator. Don't forget, if you're getting value out of listening to this conversation, make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you comment. Leave us your comments. Let Joe know what your questions are. We are very good about sharing those comments with our guests and getting back to you with answers, because if you've got that question, I'm sure someone else does. So, Joe, this has been so much fun. It's been a blast getting to know you, getting to know more about you, connecting with you on not just a professional but a personal level. I'm so glad that 𝗙𝗊𝗄𝗏 brought us together at the Global Warrior Conference last year. And shout out to 𝗙𝗊𝗄𝗏. She's helping me put together a Global Neurodivergent Leaders Conference. So we'll be telling you guys more about that. But we're also going to be, I think Joe and I are going to be sharing a stage once again in September at the Global Warrior Conference. So I can't wait for that. Guys, thank you so much. Joe, what do you say we end the show on that note?
Why not?
I love it. I can't wait to share this with so many people. Look for the premiere. Thank you so much, Joe. Have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you guys next on the next Lead Different podcast. Have a great week.
Bye. Thank you.
This is Lead Different.
Subscribe now. Discover a new era of leadership. Lead different, because great leaders change the world.
Why not leadership? Why not lead different? When you do the things that everyone else does, you get the same results as everyone else gets. Let's do things a little different. Let's lead different. And ask yourself this: why not?